I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben.
We're Autosave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Arcane, Season 1, Episode 5. Last episode was nuts. The episode before it was nuts, too.
Also nuts.
We have a new name for our main character. And I don't know if I've ever watched a show that the main character's name changes, you know, at a certain point through it. It's interesting.
She definitely took a not so savory nickname that was given to her and has now made it her own.
Yeah. We also got a bunch of Caitlyn last episode, which I didn't expect necessarily, but I'm very glad we got it because we ended up on Stillwater Hold, which is where Vi is currently in jail, and Caitlyn might be breaking her out. And I say that because if she just goes for intel right now, I doubt she'll be able to come back because she isn't technically an officer anymore. Yes. So it puts her in a very precarious situation, you know?
Are we really escaping in the middle of the night? I have no clue what's going to happen.
Me either.
All I know is that Vi needs to re-enter the story.
Yeah, agreed. Jinx just brought Silco a gemstone, and I believe the term gemstone is for like the purified or like the more stable version of these gems. Honestly, I'm really enjoying all the screen time we've been getting of Jace and Victor. I like the route they're going with Jace, and I'm glad that he trusted Heimerdinger's, you know, opinion.
Yeah.
In regards,
hopefully that opinion was a good one to trust in and follow.
Yeah, they're definitely in a odd situation now since Jinx has stolen a gemstone and Jace has been promoted to that of a counselor. Mm-hmm. I don't really know how it's going to progress in that, you know, in that field. Are we going to end up seeing a Jace versus Jinx?
Relations between Piltover and the Lanes definitely already were really bad and are probably going to be worse now.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I'm excited. I'm really enjoying the show. Are you ready?
Yes.
Sweet. Where are we? Cool.
Was this Caitlyn training?
Maybe. Whoa.
Was that Grayson?
It kind of looked like Grayson. Whoa, cool shot. Whew. Yep. I'm so glad that they crossed paths.
Got a nice little trophy.
You held your shot. I saw you.
The trophy is yours. You earned it. For me, knowing how to handle this weapon means being able to protect people. Service to the city. That's trophy enough.
God, Grayson's so cool. Cool transition.
Can you just send in whoever's gonna kick the shit out of me so I can get on with my night?
What do you have to lose, Caitlyn?
Does this mean anything to you?
Where did you get this?
You work for Silco?
They all do. How can anyone not know that? Where did you find this?
This is evidence. I need proof if I'm to believe what you're saying about Silco.
I could get it for you. Just not from in here.
Prison Break.
Yes.
In what mad world would I trust someone like you?
This mad world.
You enforcers are all the same. Just asshole criminals in fancy uniforms.
I've got orders from Councillor Tallis.
Did she just fake something?
You want us to have a chat with her?
No.
Oh.
It's for her release.
Since when's he a counselor?
She's using the fact that Jace...
You know, I never even thought to count.
God.
This is a team up.
Dude, this
that
is so
I
good.
am so excited
The
about.
fact that Caitlyn has, you know, a relationship with, what's her name? Grayson. and then Vander had a relationship with Grayson. That's such a good, like, through line for Vi and Caitlyn to have a great relationship.
Caitlyn, Grayson, Vander, Vi.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Are we ever going to see Jace wield a arcane-powered hammer, like his family developed hammers?
Ooh, I'd like it. I mean, I think Vi's gonna get the gloves he made.
Oh.
These brave enforcers sacrificed their lives to defend the values of our great city.
Wow, cool shot.
Who was this, Daddy?
Grayson.
A good woman. I lost 6 officers. 6!
Wow.
Wow.
Pushed it too far this time.
I need you to do your job.
The tapping of Marcus's foot.
They ambushed my shipment at the Hex Gates on the same day as the attack. We've accomplished a lot together, Marcus. Sheriff. For their families.
If Grayson was a good woman, what are you?
Cool.
What about our pledge to improve lives? For those in need? For the Undercity? There are people who need our help now, Jace.
This corruption runs deep, Sheriff. I intend to root it out.
Damn.
Yes. Chief suspect is an Undercity gang. They call themselves Firelocks. They operate like fancy hit and run.
Victor, you alright? I need to get to the lab.
They form some kind of mathy, magic-y gateway. And this turns it on. So,
Whoa.
here goes.
Oh my gosh.
No, it was a mistake. It was a mistake.
I heard the bathysphere has a nice view. That could be a good way to get a lay of the land.
Too risky.
Whoa.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Caitlyn's like, yeah! The skirt doesn't really help with this.
Nice. I like the dust that gets kicked up. Wow. Vi's back.
Nice jacket.
Vi's jacket now.
Isn't that the...
What the hell?
Oh, that's a funny comparison.
Welcome to the lanes.
You almost got me killed.
All us fisherfolk can. Don't you want to blend in?
Fisher folk.
If the legends are true, mages aren't bound to single functions. They think. They adapt. You think Hextech can learn?
It's like AI.
Are you sure this is safe? Of course not.
Oh, now that he's a counselor, he has to think about safety.
Jericho, have I missed these?
No, thank you.
You're missing out.
Unbelievable. I didn't break you out of jail to eat slop.
Better than I remember.
Interesting.
I like this guy.
He's living
Jericho's
his
pretty
best
cool.
life, yeah.
Oh, wow. Jinx. Fast reaction time, though. Still got it. Gonna get the top score?
Good question. Whoa!
Oh! Still second.
And I'm sure Vi's gotten stronger.
Spent a lot of time punching prison walls.
Wow, cool transition.
Councillor Tallis is willing to reinstate former trade privileges to those who share his vision.
Oh, that's so
Can we
cool.
count you amongst them? With us, you'd be investing in the future.
You know, Councillor Madara's right. The Hex Gates are only the beginning. We're currently looking for new partners in our Hex Tech research.
How can I say no to such an auspicious offer?
Hex Tech partners.
Has a nice ring, doesn't it?
He's been quite the investment.
Indeed. Better than expected.
I don't like how much power Medarda has.
I know. Everything's working according to her plan. Heimerdinger's the only one there for the performance.
Yeah. Little man? No. Caitlin like looks back.
Do you propose we go back?
Let him think you work here.
Excuse me?
If you really want people to talk to you, you have to let them think you have what they want.
And what do I have?
You're hot, Cupcake. Man or woman?
Hi, I'm Pam. What's your name?
Matilda.
My parents named me Matilda.
Nice, smooth.
The Hex-Tech Wonder Boy is on the council
The same bloody coin he picked up originally.
It's on.
What is truth but a survivor's story?
If I'm discovered,
Huh.
we're
That's a
both
great line.
This has gone too far.
Imagining yourself a hero to make you the martyr you've always seen yourself as. Then what are you waiting for?
Oh!
Thank God.
Way to reinforce.
God, I would have like.
You need to weaponize the Hex-Tech soon.
I keep seeing them. That day.
Have you heard anything about Powder? I think Silco has her.
Silco's number 2's irregular. I can have Miguel tell you where to find her. It's nothing.
Magical gardens. This is all I've seen.
Good job, Caitlin.
Imagine the wonders they could create if we put magic in their hands.
Whoa.
The world will never be the same. We're not often in the position to give anything back.
I couldn't have done it without you.
I wish I wasn't suspicious of her.
I know. But I also kind of saw that coming.
What you got, Victor?
That's beautiful.
I can't figure out why it's not working.
Are you headed home soon?
So much romance in this
Yeah.
episode. I'm loving it.
Probably going to sleep here tonight.
She would also like to sleep here tonight.
Good night, Miss Yan.
Two things happening at the same time I didn't expect to have like intercutting between. It's like guiding him.
Yeah, signifying a separation between
Yeah.
Jace and Victor through
Like
the
a
cuts
branch of paths.
Mhm. Wait, no, is he dead?
I almost drowned in these waters.
You told me a million times.
Vander wasn't the man you thought he was.
When he turned his back and... Did I miss anything?
I've got a new one for you. That day, I let a weak man die. You need to let Powder die. So the fear of pain will no longer control you. You're strong now. Just like you were always meant to be.
It's like a baptism.
I wake up to this, I'm searching to behold the stories that I told.
It's like Imagine Dragons in Arcane. Damn.
Jace? Victor. The doctors. How much time do I have? Rotten luck.
Death and the Magician.
Vi?
Oh! What is that?
Oh, it like...
Holy shit.
Oh!
Oh!
I see you never learn patience.
I like the weight. Caitlyn? No! Fuck no! Bye! Oh! Could do this all day.
Where's my sister? She works for him. She's like his daughter. I'll give her your regards.
Nice.
Caitlyn.
Mm-hmm. Good shot. Reflects back the opening scene of this episode.
Why did you let her go?
Do you ever say thank you?
She's gonna know we're here now.
Whose
Cool.
fault is that? I'm an excellent shot.
She has a trophy.
You gonna help me out, Cupcake?
Stop calling me that.
But you're so sweet.
I'm so...
Like a cupcake.
I love it. I love
Vi
it.
is great at giving people nicknames.
Is Powder dead?
I think Powder's dead.
She's back.
From the dead.
Okay, that was season 1, episode 5 of Arcane. Wow. A lot happened that episode. We got a lot of romance as well. Unexpected, but happily expected. I don't know. I'm really enjoying
Happily
the direction.
unexpected.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's great. I want to start by talking about the beginning of the episode when we had a good look at Caitlyn's past. And I think that Caitlyn might be my favorite character in the show.
Currently, I mean, like, obviously what they've done with Powder to Jinx, I'm really into, but I'm really digging also what they're doing with Caitlyn's character. Really did not think when we were introduced to her that she was going to have a substantial role at all.
Yeah.
I actually thought she might be a romantic interest for Jace.
At first.
At first.
But
And that would be it.
yeah. Her interaction with Grayson at the beginning of the episode was so freaking cool. And there was one shot in particular that when Caitlyn was aiming down her sights, we saw like a really, really good depth of field between like the angle that she was holding her rifle and the background.
Is it once she goes out into the clearing and is
Yeah.
about to shoot the red sign? Yeah.
It's so cool. And you could like the camera's like positioned on top of her rifle, so as it moves and steadies, like the actual framing is moving. It's really cool.
And even when it looks back at her, it's still kind of moving as she's like kind of balancing herself to get the shot.
Yeah. There's so many cool storyboarding moments in this episode in particular, but also the series. I feel like based off of what I usually watch in my free time or what we've watched together, there are sometimes like inconsistencies in storyboarding as like a season progresses or as episodes progress because of, time and budget and like in production, that not every episode can be a 10 out of 10 in every single category.
Right.
But holy shit, the art and the direction and the detail and the storyboarding is just phenomenal every single episode.
The creative choices to composition, but also like connections to be made visually that are just kind of flashed in and out and cut from this to that, from this to that. I mean, it's so creative and so entertaining, and I feel like a bunch of times we said wow this episode. And that's how we felt, because we were like, oh my gosh, whoa, way to do that. Way to cut from this plot point to this visual, showing us something in a completely creative visual way that isn't like literal.
I'm almost like curious to ask if there's a comic or graphic novel or manga that they like are adapting here, because typically with like an anime or anything like that, there's sometimes you're able to rely on a manga for really great storyboarding, and it's just so great here that I'm just like, oh my god, if this is like anime only and the animators, the people who are actually just producing the show are coming up with all of these cool shots, holy shit, hats off. It's so good. It's so great.
It doesn't feel like there's a lazy moment at all. Like an easy, like a cheap, get everyone excited, like don't actually put all your effort in it. It doesn't feel like that at all.
Yeah, you know who also I really, really enjoy? I think like Caitlin, I love on like a subjective personal level. I love Marcus's character. I think that it is such an interesting character, and I wonder what they're going to do with him, because it's a character whose decisions have affected the entire series and where we're at now, and it's in a way that isn't very showy. They're not letting us forget about him, but I don't think any other character in the series, other than himself, realizes the amount of impact and influence his decisions have had that have led us and all of our characters to the point that we're at.
And not only his decisions, but also how little control he actually ever had. Like, he is honestly just, and has been since the beginning, a pawn to be used in order to achieve something by Silco. At first, he probably feels like he has some amount of power. He's the sheriff now, and he obviously took over after Grayson died, and he's still getting something out of this agreement. He might even feel like they're on equal levels in an arrangement. And Silco is definitely making it clear to him, like, we are not.
So correct. So this is my assumption right now, and I expect to be wrong, at least at some level. I got the implication that the reason Marcus is sheriff is directly because of Silco, and I think that right after Marcus left with Vi, he is the person who orchestrated, potentially with Silco, to put her in jail. And, like, obviously, we weren't 100% sure about it, but we got the confirmation that Vi does not know anything about Powder anymore. She has been away for a long time.
I'm gonna disagree with you.
Okay.
I don't think that... I think Marcus put Vi away secretly and on purpose. I think that by the reaction from Silco at the end there, like, Vi's back from the dead, it seemed like he wasn't very worried about Vi ever coming back. And Marcus has obviously been thinking about how he isn't necessarily living the way that he would like to be living, or would be the best man possible for his daughter, you know, in doing the right thing. And I think that, as Silco said, you could be the martyr you've always wanted to be. I think he sees Grayson as a martyr.
Yeah.
And I think that I find that because at the timing Marcus pulled Vi away, he made sure that Vi didn't call attention to herself in front of Silco.
You're right. That's a good... now that you've brought that into the conversation, I agree with you. There was just one shot that Silco was having the conversation with Marcus when talking about him being a sheriff, that it made me feel like somehow Silco had some sort of influence.
Financial.
Maybe.
I mean, they're just handing Marcus tons of money. I'm sure financial compensation would help a lot in campaigning to become the next sheriff or something of that nature. Maybe he did use Vi as a bargaining chip himself in order to become sheriff.
Yeah.
Because he caught her. Maybe he even said that she's the one that killed Grayson. Maybe
Yeah.
she was in jail for killing Grayson.
I enjoy that Marcus is where he is because in a weird way, it does parallel what Grayson was to Vander, because who is the owner of the establishment of The Last Drop now? And
Yep.
they're, working with Marcus. It reminds me of another show that we've watched recently where a character had a line regarding like, okay, stay where you are and continue to go about how you normally would, but then when the time arises, then choose to stand up.
Yeah.
I think of Marcus in like a way that I'm like, okay, it connects back with what you said about maybe he was the person who put Vi into hiding. I think that there is going to come a moment in the series where he is going to choose to be the person that, Grayson was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that his child, I believe, the girl who he's holding hands with, I think that's going to influence his decision in wanting to be somebody that she would be proud of, maybe.
Right. Now that maybe the daughter was just born around the time of the first happenings of the first couple episodes. Not really sure how old this kid is. Probably 4 or 5, somewhere in there. So it could be that now that the child is old enough to speak and look up to him and learn and start taking after, he is now realizing he wants to be someone that he's happy with his daughter emulating, in that same way that we got the emulation and learning of how to act between Powder and Vi and Powder and the people around her as a child.
Yeah.
That she was looking to someone else to see how to react to things. And so that's an interesting... I mean, the show is filled with, like, through lines, things like connecting to this thing or being comparable or similar to this thing on the whole opposite side of the universe between Piltover and the Lanes, good, evil, all across the board.
Yeah.
There are tons of different kind of through lines and relationships. Like, we get that, obviously, Vi just somewhat beat up the second in command to Silco, but in a way Powder really is the second for Silco. Like, that's the person he trusts the most.
Mm-hmm.
And where did Jinx end up on the leaderboards as they both beat someone up or beat something up this episode? Vi and Jinx both did, and Jinx ended up second. And I don't know, that could... There's always, like, things like words, repetition, similar themes, kind of, like, weaving in and out.
Yeah. Knowing the little information we got about what Vi has been up to and where she's been for how long, presumably, or, like, presuming, I imagine that maybe her fighting skills haven't improved too much, but I imagine that her durability has. Because if she has had to endure a number that wasn't even told to us amount of beatings from the prison guard, then I'm sure she is tougher than ever.
Oh, yeah. Like, he was like, I don't even keep count. And oh my god.
Yeah. Victor, man,
Yeah.
I am really sad to see him being sick, but I do have, like, maybe it's coming from a place of hope, but I do have some like potential ideas of where his character could go. At first, when he had the nosebleed and like the vision over the magic, the arcane, my mind first jumped to, does the arcane have a mind of its own, and is it trying to influence Victor's actions in a malicious way, or is it not like its own malicious thing and just like what Victor said, and we can take Victor at his word? But then as the episode progresses, we got the cards being laid down, Death and Magician, and then we got the shots of Jinx or Powder being almost baptized and reborn into this life.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, fuck. What if Victor's, like, reborn into, like, a sorcerer or a magician? Like, somebody who can wield this power. Because he's on death's door. His blood is fused seemingly with the arcane.
What does that even mean, that his blood was sucked in?
We don't know.
I think I would like it if there is a way and reason that Victor is reborn or continues on in the story. I don't really want him to die and then be a device to make sure that Jace stays on a good path of thinking about progress for the regular person.
I'd be okay
Victor
with it.
was so focused on you're okay with him just being like a device to put Jace on a certain path.
I think it'd be really powerful. Me personally, I'm like, fuck, I really like Victor. Keep him alive.
Right.
That'd be, like, really
See,
cool.
I agree with you. It would be a really great device for Jace's character. But I'm also like, once you brought up this, like, the blood and I'm like, well, maybe something really cool that I don't even know and can't even think of would be created out of a reborn Victor.
If Victor does die, though, and he at least took a step within that blood, whatever it was, that could leave Jace in a position where he has to pick up where Victor left off and focus more on the science of it rather than the interpolitical, scene. I don't want Victor to die, and I want him and Miss Young to get together, and I want them to live happily ever after. And she was just like,
so blind to it. I mean, he's so focused on his work.
Nah, he wasn't blind to it. He knew exactly what was going on. But he was prioritized.
You
his
don't
work.
think that it was like showing us Jace is kind of off track and more focused on relations now than his work, and that's why he was able to reciprocate and or notice an attention from someone, but Victor is still so focused on his work that he doesn't realize?
I think that's not giving Victor enough credit. I think you're onto something, but I think Victor realizes what it is and then chooses to not do it and chooses to not be distracted and focus on his work.
Or he doesn't want to get in a relationship because he thinks he's dying. That could also be it.
Maybe.
It
would just speak even more, nicely on Victor's character then. I love Victor. Like, I've really come around to Victor. He's no Harold, but,
He's no Harold.
I wrote down this person's name, and I guarantee we will never see them again. Pim. One of the people in,
one of the people at a brothel?
I wrote establishment. I'm not trying to define what they do there.
There seemed to be some drug usage.
It's an establishment,
It's an establishment.
And we knew kind of the owner, or at least manager of that establishment. And for a little bit, I was worried after Vi left the room that maybe the owner had been threatened or had their alliances elsewhere because of a position they were in, were going to betray Vi. So I'm happy that didn't happen.
Yeah, so what was the line that she said when Vi left? Was her response maybe in feeling pity or feeling guilt, possibly? So he's like, I have to find her, and she leaves. It's like she knows maybe what Vi is gonna find out. Like, she knows about Jinx, but she's not telling her.
Maybe.
And
because she looks towards the camera or her desk almost, after Vi leaves.
Which makes you think there's something on her desk, but probably not.
It's just pen and paper.
It's just paperwork.
We can't read the paperwork.
No.
Not yet. I loved Caitlyn's interactions in there, and not only her interactions, but Vi's expression at seeing her talk to this girl on the couch. I was like, oh my god. I don't know if it's ever gonna be romantic or just a friendship, because I'm okay with whatever it is. But I love it. Yeah, they're back and forth, Caitlyn and Vi's. It's so entertaining.
I would dig it if it was romantic, and I would dig it if it was platonic, and either or, I'm really liking the dynamic.
Yeah. There's a really good line, but what is truth but a survivor's story? And that's a really interesting way to reword and rephrase the adage of the victor's the one who writes the history.
Mm-hmm.
Victor not Not like the character, but I wish it was. But no, I thought that it was a really good line. What is truth but a survivor's story? I thought it was interesting. Cool way to phrase it.
The survivor has a bloody coin. One of the survivors in the story has a bloody coin still that he looks at and reflects on.
Question for you. Do you think that Jinx is having visions? And do you think that her trauma and seeing her past is 100% just trauma? Or do you think that it will somehow blend together with... I mean, what gives you visions? Does anybody who is that close to unlocking the arcane magic and that close to it, do they start getting infected by it and start having visions? Or is it just Victor for a reason? And if it isn't just Victor for a reason, does that mean it's only a matter of time before Jinx either gets sick, has visions herself, or, you know, whatever?
See, I think that they're just shown to us as somewhat similar, but not actually connected. Because I feel like Victor, we can be under the impression that he was always maybe sickly. And so that this ending or possible ending for him where he's like, how much time do I have left? It doesn't feel unusual for his character. And doesn't feel like it's necessarily connected to magic. And for Jinx, I 100% think that it's this is like a trauma representation.
Yeah.
And a powerful, very emotional, scary representation of a trauma that is like done really well and conveyed really well. I think to like put the viewer inside of how Powder feels, how unstable it is in there, and also how scary it is for her, how emotional it is for her.
They do a really good job at like putting you in a position to understand what a character is feeling. For example, the sex scene. I really understood what Jace was feeling by the traversal of space and time intercutting with his friend Victor dying. He just had
the people that storyboarded this scene and decided that these things were going to coexist together and be cut. That person, whoever did this and made this decision, was having a little bit too much fun. And they were probably laughing the entire time they were doing it.
In all seriousness, I'm completely joking, and I do think the intercutting was really strong and powerful and great. But it's also a little, it's like, you know,
still
a little funny at the same time. It's interesting because it's not lost on me that every time that they show any hint of what might be the truth behind this magic or further down the line in regards to the gemstones or arcane, it is always shown in a way that is out of the world, like out of this world, out of this universe, something that is like greater than just us in Piltover can understand. Like we're able to utilize it for these specific functions, like Victor was saying to Jace, but maybe in the reverse of that, it's not just about using it for specific things. It's much, much bigger than that.
Yeah, I think using the visual of space definitely gives off, I think, the weight that Heimerdinger tried to put out there about how powerful, vast, and highly unknown this power is, that you don't necessarily know what you're tapping into. And can you really hand over space and time in the universe to just everyone and have them all have a piece of it in their hands?
Yeah.
You know, that is a scary idea.
Well, Jinx could be working in the way that Victor and Jace were last episode, and maybe going forward, Victor and Jace are going to be working in the opposite direction, and that could give them an edge. Potentially. I don't know, though. It's one thing that's very difficult about watching and talking about this show is that I'm rooting for everybody and nobody at the same time. Like, I'm just it's like watching a really good game or like esport and that's really competitive, but you don't really have a horse in the race and you're just really enjoying the great match in front of you. It's so entertaining.
Like, I definitely don't want to see a reunion between Jinx and Vi.
I almost thought it happened this episode.
I know, but like, I'm like, I want that to continue to build.
Yeah.
The, like, tension and, like, excitement on, like, seeing what an inevitable meeting will be. I'm like, is that the last episode? You know, this, like, head-on collision, both of them seeing each other. I feel like Jinx is definitely going to know next episode that Vi is back.
Well,
is she going to go looking for Vi? Is she going to be, once she finds this out, what's going to happen now that Powder is dead?
Well, it's getting a little more clear where they can go story-wise. We were asking a few questions last episode and the episode before about how these lines are going to interconnect, but having Vi and Caitlyn be so close this episode is such an easy through line to get to the power of the arcane through Jace going forward because of Caitlyn and Jace's pre-established relationship.
Yeah.
So that's one way of getting it, as well as Powder or Jinx and her way of getting it.
So obviously Jace at some point is going to find out that Caitlyn has taken the position that was offered to her, and with that position has broken someone out of jail.
Were you a little bummed to see Jace, like, going forward with the inner political, like, dealings and getting potentially a little bit played and manipulated by Medarda?
Well, he's so wanting to... He's the man of progress, you know? He doesn't want corruption, and the person that made him the man of progress is the one that's trying to have him on that line of like, oh, well, it's corruption for the sake of balance, I guess. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about him. Like, is she actually into him, or is she just putting the moves on him in order to keep him as somewhat of a puppet of hers?
Maybe a little bit of both.
Maybe a little bit of both.
I feel like such an asshole for ever thinking bad about Victor. He's like, Jace, you can't forget, we just need to help all the people. And I'm
all
like,
he wants to do is help
God,
people do their jobs, like, and hurt themselves less. He wanted these gloves for the miners, you know, like, so genuine, good-hearted. No wonder Miss Young is in love with him.
Yeah, I'm in love with him. I think that Vi's hair is better than I could have hoped. Just like a little like sidebar there. I love her character. All the character designs and the outfits, they are top tier. You said something like jokingly about the skirt halfway through it, and I'm like, I don't fucking care. Like, it's not practical, but I don't fucking care.
It was just that obviously Caitlyn, I feel like if she hadn't had a skirt on, she definitely could have kept up a little bit better with Vi, but we got to have that really comedic moment of the creature that was and then you see them again and they've basically caught up with Caitlyn as she has. That is cool. I also didn't realize that you could get to the Undercity from more of like an elevator type situation, or they went down like a sewage pipe before. She called it the fissure, and then we actually got a fissure.
The fissure folk. Yeah.
And we actually got a fissure, like an actual visual of seeing like where you can just jump down.
Yeah.
And I was really shocked by that.
I think it's more, how would I put it? It's more depressing than I think. It's always been like a very awful realization that there's that divide, right? There is that fissure. But seeing it again and again, and especially like the visual when Vi was jumping down this episode, you try to think about how the reverse view would look. And the upper city, right, Piltover, is just out of reach, but you can still see it. But you're stuck in a class where it's almost impossible for you to climb out of because you were just born there, and that sucks.
And they're also eating things that the people in Piltover wouldn't even apparently imagine eating.
It looked pretty good. That guy's enthusiasm.
That guy is a 5-star chef, Jericho.
Yeah. You could tell it was like good food.
He like scratched his butt just like I hoped he would, and I'm sure it tasted
That's the
amazing.
umami. Yeah, it's great. I love Heimerdinger. I think that if I had to say, like, if I have to relate to one character
it's Heimerdinger
in the show, it is Harold, and then it's Heimerdinger.
Do we think that Heimerdinger should meet the person, the creature that we met when Caitlin and Vi went down to the Undercity? Is that a love match there?
The owner of the establishment.
There's just so much romance in this episode that maybe I'm just trying to make some more connections.
You straight up thought that what's his name?
When Silco got a little
you
close,
thought Silco was gonna
that
kiss.
scared me. I was so scared for a second because obviously, like last episode, I think she kind of like got on his lap, and I was like, okay, so she like is seeing him as like a father figure.
Yeah.
Okay, but I was like, but I could see some people being like a little like weirded out by that maybe. And then when that happened, and they were like looking
I could
at
feel
each other,
your energy. Like
my energy was anxiety.
Yeah,
That's what
I
it
know.
was. It was probably like really coming off of me. And then there was a baptism, as you said.
I'm okay, so we got a little bit more of Jinx after the baptism, but it wasn't enough for me to get a true grasp on what Jinx is like now and how far removed Powder is from Jinx. Well,
the only evidence we have, the only thing we were given to use is that at the beginning of the episode, that stuffed animal was in a closed box with the lid on it. Mm-hmm. And then by the end of the episode, it was basically just pinned up on a wall. You know?
Yeah, and I think I don't buy it. Like, theoretically, right? If Silco's right in his word use of like how it's like, oh yeah, that like Powder's dead kind of type beat, then if Powder was truly dead, there would be no vengeance to sow, or you know, like there'd be no like oh, I'm mad at like I my feelings have changed or become more steadfast about this person in my past life. You've changed, and you know your perception has potentially changed, but you haven't like killed off that past self of
if you killed off Powder, what would Jinx's motivations be at the moment?
To only help Silco, and it wouldn't be Vi wouldn't be included in it. And I think that the representation of the stuffed animal like pinned to the wall is like is for us to know where she lands and stands in regards to Vi.
I think that's why I'm hesitant to if they bring Vi and Jinx to interact now. Part of me is like, I don't. So remember when Jinx was fighting the Firelights and there was a girl that had pink hair and it had her start kind of, you know, visualizing her sister and having these memories, and then she kind of got really unstable. I kind of want to see a Powder is dead Jinx for a while before I see that break. I think I'm excited to see what that Jinx is taking the front would look like.
Yeah.
And how she would act as that, and how it would be possibly different. And then I would want to see it break after getting like a good look.
Yeah. You could even get like them interacting, and like depending on how far gone they want to remove Powder from Jinx, it could be like, who even are you? Or you don't even mean anything to me anymore.
Oh, that'd be cool. Know? Like doesn't even recognize her, like doesn't even register her face as anything.
Like it like looks like somebody else or something. Yeah. Hands down, my favorite shot, like my favorite sequence of this entire episode was Powder fight, or Jinx, sorry, Jesus. But Jinx
no
fighting.
No more Powder, she's dead.
Jinx doing the training that Vi did previously, and the interchanging of like it's like it wasn't just like a cool edit for us. It was like Jinx was using those memories to replicate a fight so that she could get an upper hand, and it was really cool.
But she killed a crow for no reason in that scene, so I was kind of mad at her.
It depends if she ate it or not, you know. If she like utilized the meat,
so it didn't just like die for nothing, just for fun.
My biggest gripe with this episode is, where the fuck is Little Man, dude? I need him back. I want to know if he's at the college or the university. I wonder if he's Heimerdinger's like prodigy. I don't know.
Firelight.
I maybe he's the leader of
He's the one with
Firelights.
the mask. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know. I want to see him again, and I miss him. He was such a cool character to have, and we didn't see enough of him after Benzo's death.
Mhm.
And I know we didn't get a whole lot of him, but knowing how technical he was and how, you know, it hits different when you compare like Jason Victor's technology to somebody like Jinx's, and it's easy to see Jinx is more antagonistic because of where she is, but there's something so cool about the resourcefulness of people in the Undercity, and that's what Little Man had. He was a young kid who was able to use all these like shitty parts to like, you know, make some really cool inventions, and I want
Yeah.
to see what he could
and
do.
like you're cold and you need a jacket, you just beat someone up and take their jacket.
Yeah.
Resourcefulness, just
And,
like you said.
Hey, you want to... Vi didn't just beat up somebody for a jacket for herself. She did it for Caitlyn, too.
Yeah.
She didn't want Caitlyn to be cold.
I think that was my favorite part of this episode.
Yeah.
Was their interactions. I think that's my favorite part.
I thought it was a great episode. I don't know how many episodes are left, and I don't want to know, because I don't want it to end.
Okay. True.
Yeah. You good?
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.